Okay, Coach.
Yeah, a lot of research has gone into Derek Piper's jump shot. It's not very good. No, it was a disappointing loss. It was great effort. We played hard. I thought our mental focus was not maybe at its best, but I don't want to take anything away from Nebraska and what they did in that game. Deserved the opportunity to beat us, and they did. You know, obviously 58 rebounds, half our misses back. You know, it's a pretty simple formula. We're 12-1 when we rebound and get over 33% of our misses back and turn it over less than 18% of the time. We're 4-6 when we don't do those things. It is continually we bring to their attention turnovers, and most of those were completely unforced and/or scouting report mistake turnovers that reached up and got us. And you know, it's whether the ball goes in or it doesn't go in, we can't control. The fact that we got as many back as we did gave us an opportunity to stay in the game. And you know, we've just got to you know, we've got to be better. Obviously, it didn't help with Merez picking up 2 fouls in the first 3.5 minutes of the game. We know we're very thin up front, and you know, that causes some you know, caused some challenges as well. But no excuses. We've got one of the hottest teams in the league. In my opinion, we've got one of the elite backcourts. You know, it's as I've watched film on them, it's truly crazy that no one's talking about their freshmen. And you know, we get inundated with guys that have a lot of stars by their name, and coming in, and rightfully so. Mobley is outstanding. Mobley's one of the elite shooters in this league. He's playing at a very, very high level. You pair him with Bruce, and it gives you a very formidable backcourt and one that's playing at a high clip. You know, as I watch some of their real old games, you know, I think one of the biggest differences is they're making shots, and they're in a nice rhythm. Parrish gives them an elite 3-point shooter, and you know, Royal and those guys, they play a plethora of bigs on the interior. You know, are all doing their job, and then they're a team that plays very much like we used to play defensively in their ball screen coverages, and then they don't want to give you threes. And so, a really good basketball team, and they've started making shots, so they kind of turned their season around with that, and we'll have to be on point tomorrow. Oh, Tommy's status is still the same. We'll list him as questionable, and he's in his progress as he continues to fight mono, and it has been it's been crazy how this has affected him. But we'll list him as questionable, and we'll see whether he's a participant or not.
Coach, now 10 points in transition in the last game. How do you speed it up a little bit? How do you turn those defensive rebounds into easy buckets?
Yeah, they didn't offensive rebound, so they sent their whole team back, and that's one of the things that, you know, you just have to keep doing it every trip, and you know, it's our reputation is what we do. We're number one in pace, and teams are either going to decide to challenge us on the glass, or they're going to, you know, try to take away transition. It's very hard to do both. Our early offense was awful. We weren't very good. We didn't get to screens. You know, we've got to find that balance. We've spent a good deal of time, and for us, it's not necessarily the speed; it's the quickness with which we get into our actions. And we were abysmal. We were really slow, and that's what I'm trying to clean up. And when teams want to send everybody back, great. Let's find the early action and still be aggressive in kind of a secondary way, not necessarily a primary way.
Brad, Tommy being questionable feels like it's a little bit at least of a change from what we've seen. What's he been able to do? How's he developing in that?
It's so doctor and trainer restricted. You know, I mean, imagine sleeping 16 hours a day and how you feel and that's what he's been doing. And so we've gone from 0 to a little bit, in terms of what he can do. And, you know, when your spleen is, I'm not trying to get into the medical side, but they don't let you do anything. So he's literally done nothing but some, for weeks now since the Michigan State game.
Sorry, Joe.
I guess with maybe the idea, you still don't know when you will be whole. Like, what does this team have to maybe lean into to keep getting through?
Yeah, great question. Not turning it over, solid. Just being solid, just being who we are. You know, and it's, as roles have had to be redefined a little bit, it's not, we're not asking guys to do stuff they can't do. Okay, it's more about just play a little harder, play a little smarter. Let's understand, you know, kind of what this is at this point in the season. I love our effort. I love our rebounding, but you can't handcuff yourself by just turning the ball over for no reason. You can't handcuff yourself by pitching the ball out of bounds on a scouting report that we told you wouldn't be there. Those are just things we've got to put the mental with the physical, and you know, even though we didn't shoot very well, we had a chance to win the game in the last shot, and the effort's been great. I love this team, and we just got to help ourselves and not shoot ourselves in the foot.
I think on your post-game radio, you had talked about maybe exploring a starting lineup change, I guess. What have the last few days told you about that? And then second, like, when do you kind of know when to pull that lever during the course of the season?
Yeah, it's mostly, you start getting into comfort with the group. You're always looking to improve, and you guys have been around me a long time, you know that I like the productivity that comes off the bench. I like hitting hitting singles throughout the game, you know, not just a grand slam every time. And yet finding guys that work well together, guys that are like stylistically. I don't like them on the court together a lot. But you know, and then it's sometimes youth, sometimes. So we have gotten really comfortable with the group together that maybe analytically hasn't working. So if you ask me right now, I'd put them in a hat and draw them out. I don't know how we'll start. We may stay the same, just out of comfort, have some conversations along the way. But I didn't like the way we started the other night offensively, and I thought defensively we were pretty good, except we fouled.
I guess on fouls, I mean, just what's the message to Merez? Because the Northwestern game said you're going to play him until you had to take him out, and then 2 quick ones against Nebraska.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the one he jumps straight up in the air and he has his hands straight up in the air, and we teach that, we work on that drill every day. We call it a Mozgov. And when you jump straight up in the air, it's your verticality, and the offense goes into you, and we haven't got that call. That kid I feel so bad for. And then the officials always give you well, he brought his hands down. Well, if you ever get punched in the gut, you're going to double up. And that was not a foul on that play. We've sent the clip in, and I just keep, I don't know how they want you to defend it. I've talked to multiple officials. I've talked to the commissioner of officials. I feel terrible for him because he's 260 pounds and he jumps straight up. People might bounce off of him, but he's leaving the ground, which you have to do. You can't stay grounded. You sure as a heck can't try to take a charge, because that's always going to be a block. So I don't know. You know, I had somebody try to tell me that the head of officials wants you to be shoulders square to the basket before they call that. That makes no basketball sense to be that way when somebody's driving down the lane. I have no idea. I'm just telling them to keep doing it. I've gotten 47 different answers. Talking to everybody's got a different reply. So I'm just going to keep telling him, jump up in the air and then try to just keep sliding your feet and hope nobody trips on them.
I know Nebraska sent everyone back. Is transition maybe trying to get more out of it something this team could unlock, or do you think that's not maybe?
We're number one in the league in pace and transition. I mean, it's I can't control what other teams do to try to stop it. The answer is not shoot the ball quicker. It's about find action earlier. And try to create an advantage. I get it. I would maybe try to send everybody back too to stop us, because you let us get to you let Kaspar's find an angle or a crease early. He's a pretty good player, making right reads, and all we can do is run and play in space, and we have a saying, race, space, and pace, and those are all things that we can control, but we can't control what the other team does to try to defend it.
Along those lines, the way Ohio State kind of runs teams off the line, how's that impact what you want to do offensively, and what are some keys you think to executing against them?
Yeah, it's worked great for us when we did it that way defensively. I think you got to find your opportunities when they're there at the three. They're going to play, a ball screen coverage, whatever they try to do. They've done 3 or 4 different things that we'll have to try to attack, and it's not the first time we've seen it. Multiple teams do it, but that's okay. We'll shoot them when we're open, and I like our guard play. In ball screens a lot. We set more than anybody, and one of the tops in college basketball has set them. We're going to set them and see how how they guard them. Mobley's an elite defender, by the way, an elite defender. So we'll continue to set them and make the right reads, and Perez and Ben and Jake and all those guys will have opportunities.
With KJ, how do you maybe tamp down the turnover numbers without sort of taking away what makes him?
I'm not trying to worry about him. I'm just trying to make sure he doesn't dribble it off his foot. If he turns the ball over being aggressive, I'm great with that. You look, most guards that are aggressive and really good players are going to have a few, because they're high usage. I'm not trying to talk about anybody else's team. Braden had a few last night, and he's a veteran. He's going to have a few. I want him to have a few. I need him to have a few, because that means he's being aggressive and he's making the right plays. It's the scouting report ones. It's sometimes the timeliness of them that it's the I don't want one to lead to 2. I'd like to see that part of it stop, but I want him to be ultra aggressive, and that's when he's at his best.
Dre gets that big shot to tie the game there towards the end. Where's his confidence and mindset at this point?
Big as the state of Texas. That young man has never lacked for confidence, and he is a elite competitor, and he's a great open court player. He's a great finisher. Just to jump up and have that moment, through the roof.
Another early Sunday game after the kind of slow start against USC. How much have you focused on just coming out with energy early tomorrow?
We were pretty good against Michigan State, so we've had another one in there. It's grow up, manage your life in a way that allows you to get your butt out of bed in the morning and get focused. Grow up. You know, it's the only thing I know to say. And like I told him today, man, you know, it's not wake up in the morning and, hey, we got a game. It's preparation today leads to a productive tomorrow. Quite simply, it's the approach we've got to have. We get in the NCAA tournament, you're going to have an early game at some point, so you better manage it.
Dre's talked about trying to use his energy to kind of pull the same out of his teammates. How would it, I guess, beyond his production, what have you seen from him as he's tried to maybe find where he fits as a leader?
Oh, Dre's a leader. Dre's a leader. Dre's got moxie. Dre's got street cred. He's not afraid of a fight, a challenge, and there's that's really contagious. And he's earned the right to have that in our locker room now. And so he's growing immensely with his leadership. He's a guy that I can coach others through him. You know, I did that a lot with Terrence. I did that a lot with Io. You know, can really get on him and challenge him so that others get the same message. That's leadership. He's getting there.
How do you convince your guys that when you're 3 of 18 from 3 in the first half, that maybe getting to the line or getting some at the rim might, I don't know, help your jump shot, you know, and that might lead to better stuff?
Yeah, you know, offense is fickle. Sometimes the less you say, the better it is. Sometimes you got to put a foot down. I don't want these guys. I've never told anybody to not shoot. All these guys go to the gym and they practice and they shoot hundreds and thousands of balls a week. I'm not going to tell them not to shoot when they've got a good shot. That's their shot. What we have to do is help them sometimes understand shot selection. Understand a contested 16 on the shot clock, and we can probably get better with it. And so that's the fine line that you run with it. Got to shoot them. More importantly, we got to go chase them when we miss them, because that's where we're good. We've got to fight the 17 turnovers that we didn't get, to go shoot another 3 and maybe miss it, and go chase it down and get a rebound and put it back. You know, it's opportunities. It's what this thing's about.
Maybe a little bit of a redundant question along the same lines of it. What's the message to Ben when he just can't find it, like the other night?
If you're that soft that you're not going to shoot it, I'm not going to play you. Keep shooting it. He's a really good shooter. Shooting happens. It goes in, it doesn't go in. Shoot the basketball. Made him the game before. One shot can turn it around. You know, I don't want guys thinking about the next shot. I want them making that shot. And sometimes it's an attitude. You know, I always liken back to Alfonso Plummer. He made 9 in a row, and I screamed at him one day in practice because he missed the 10th. Why'd you miss that one? And shooting is an attitude. It's a mindset. Every shot's independent of each other. Shoot it. Don't worry about streaks. Don't worry about makes. Shoot your shot. And it's a mindset you have to become a shooter. And so keep shooting. This will be our last one.
Shot selection, you mentioned. How does that? What's your process in kind of coaching them into what's good? And because what's good for one may not be, you know, universally across the team.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we don't want to take 2s unless they're in the paint, or layups. I mean, that has a lot to do with shot selection. You know, Will's probably more likely to take those than anybody else in terms of 2s, because he's got that really dialed into his game. So that impacts shot selection. We're a really good passing team for the most part, so it's just, we call it .5 basketball, turn a good one into a great one. And but don't hesitate. And again, it's if you're guarded and you have to take one at the end of the shot clock, I get it. Otherwise, we're probably good enough offensively and a good enough passing team, we're gonna find a better one than we are with one at 18 on the shot clock.
Thank you.